Thank you, Dr. Sumit, for joining us. So, as you know, we've got this interview is going to be on multiple people getting different perspectives from Shilajit, and of course, you came to my mind knowing your deep relationship with the Himalayas and the mountains, and just on that, like, if you would like to share something about your Jyotish birth chart, or what is it about you? Is Shiva very much connected to you from a young age, or what has drawn you so close to the mountains? And particularly, I don't know, is it like an eighth house secretive kind of knowledge going to those more rare herbs and where places don't really go much?
It's a very question which I didn't expect, to be quite honest. But yeah, yeah. No, no, it's more about not being more about personal. It is about the first time somebody asked me about people. I take lectures on astrology, but no one asked me about my Jyotish chart or something. But definitely, as I said, till 20 years of my life, 22 years, I was an atheist. My grandfather, or whom I call a grandfather, was a nice astrologer. So I used to do calculations with him just to get a chocolate drink, though I didn't believe in it, to be quite honest. But yeah, some things happened in my life. I am a data scientist. I do programming in Python, Oracle. I still do it. But and my dad is a doctor. And to cut the story short, I couldn't get into engineering, so I had to do medicine. And my dad got sick one day and nothing could cure him. I didn't believe in Ayurveda. I didn't believe in yoga, Tantra. Means all these things were like sham fraud for me. I have no bones in telling it. I just got into Ayurveda because I wanted to get a degree and just go and work in programming. He got cured in a very different way that nothing was curing him. And one day I just offered lime juice to some sadhu at a station because I wanted a change to tell my dad that I would be late for his another doctor appointment. And he gave me two herbs and told him, your dad is sick. Give it to him in a particular way with some diet. I didn't believe him. My friend told, he's a big Ayappa Bhakt. Ayappa is a lord, and he told me that you should give it. It is a lord of Shiva, a son of Shiva. You should give him this. It is a calling. And I said, what, man? If I give him and he falls sick, this guy will come asking for money. So I didn't give him for 2 months, and then things got worse. And I gave it to him, and he got cured in 7 days. That started my journey to first understand what is it. And then it happened because I was very open. I've always been into that mindset that if I don't understand something, I should not judge it, and I should go all out. So I went started my journey into the forest. I started we I'm a Maharashtrian. Ganesha is a big deity for us. I never visited my ancestral place for Ganesha Chaturthi. First time in 22 years I visited, not for Lord Ganesha, but to go into the forest, learn about these herbs, because I got a book written in a very ancient language called Modi, which I had to decode myself, which was a book of herbs. There are a lot of traditional healers in India who during the colonial times and before, used to treat incurable diseases. And they documented in that form because due to colonization, a lot of the indigenous practices got, from the minds, they were termed as lesser practices. And I got this knowledge of herbs. Then I started learning with teachers. Somebody sent me to poison curers in forest, sometimes to crematorium, sometimes to learn with female teachers about different things. And then Himalayas happened. I went to Himalayas trying to get answers. In that process, my friend told me that you should practice because you require money to travel. I didn't have any. So I started practicing on the same principles what I was taught: strict diet, not doing, making people understand the difference between hocus pocus and what exactly may be out there, their imagination and idea of what is spirituality, mysticism, and what actually it is, a blueprint of adaptation by using this kind of bounty of nature in terms of herbs, minerals, alchemy, just to get more deeper insights into your sensory expansions. And that's how my journey started. 20 years following my teachers without any questions. I always say the quotient of faith, that whatever comes is Mahadeva's blessings. And though a lot of my learnings happened in Vaishnav traditions, of course I learned from Aghor Sampradaya. The calling to Shiva was not because I loved the idea of Shiva. It's because it gave me this insight that you create your realities but you don't attach to it. Each time you speak with someone, you are unlocking something within yourself. Like today I'm speaking with you, I'll unlock something in myself which I'll be using. What you gain from it is your lookout, but what I gain from it is something which will be more profound. And that is how I started following the path of Shiva, started using these herbs with total integrity, total openness, telling people that if you can't follow a diet, I'm not going to give you medicines, because I wanted to see their effect. And that's how this affair has been going over a period of time. Some places I've visited because my teachers told me, some places I've gone through them, found other teachers. And this is in 22 years, I think. This year I completed 21 years in Himalayas, right from Kashmir till eastern Himalayas in Arunachal Pradesh to the Sahyadris on foot, uh, over a period of time, searching herbs, documenting, and sharing. So this is how this journey is. It doesn't come from any kind of upbringing or going into a particular traditions. Sometimes things just happen and you respond to it. So my journey has been like that.
I wasn't going to speak about this, but it's just come up, and I'm talking about Vishnu Shiva. You just mentioned you came from the Vishnavite tradition, which of course is Dhanvantari, who's behind me. But also Shiva is also a healer. Rudra is a healer. And it's particularly, we're talking today about Shilajit, which is related with Bhasma, calcification, which is like killing a mineral or a metal or substance, which is that Shiva destroying energy. So I'd love you just to speak on, and we're getting a bit celestial or Upasana Kand here, but yeah, Shiva's role in Ayurveda, Shiva's role in healing and herbs.
This is how I have learned, so I can only tell you my part. My part is Vedas, Ayurveda, Tantra, for most parts, were oral traditions. So they were transmuted through sound. It's like when you are a child and you learn something from your parents, you're not reading anything. So the way you process information there in your sensory pathways is different from where you academically study something, because you're already creating a predefined opinion and you're following it, and then comes your likes, dislikes, what you want, what you don't want. It's like that. So Vedas and Ayurvedas, Tantra, most parts were oral traditions. They were registered in your brain differently in terms of sound. That sound was an audio visual container. Like when I say lion today, so suddenly when I say lion, the picture, if you've seen a lion, the picture of lion, how the lion looks, if you have seen him in the wild, the jungle, everything will come to that one word lion will create an audio visual experience. So earlier time there was no writing, so people had to register it in that way. So the concept of Rudra, which comes from Vedas, right? Shiva and all slowly but surely developed with sampradayas as they evolved, was the concept of whether you are indulging in something or whether someone is keeping you completely dissolved from your reality. So when people ask me about Krishna and Shiva, a lot of time I get these questions, and it has got a little bit to later Ayurveda, where Krishna says in Gita that of all the Vedas, I am the Sam Veda. Of all the Agnis, I am Vaishvanar Agni. It's something like that. He picks little things. So of all the Vayus, I am the Samana. Something like that. So what it says that there is one which keeps you indulged in a reality, like Lord Krishna. Like you manifest something. It could be good, bad, nothing against it, depending upon places to places. So you manifest something, and Vishnu tradition or Lord Krishna, because I'll talk about Lord Krishna more here, keeps you indulge in your manifestation. You want this, you get it, but you don't get the exact picture of it. Lord Shiva gives you the reality but keeps you detached from it. So in Ayurveda there are two forms. One form is which keeps you indulged more and more into the academia, more and more into the part of what is health. It makes you more and more not understand the universality of Ayurveda, but more get accustomed to herbal versus chemical, organic versus inorganic, these things. And the Lord Shiva part tells you that these are biorhythms. Like a paracetamol will also act through your three doshas as Tulsi will do. Now, what is the best entity you want to use to create a quotient of swasthya? Swasthya is the swasthya rakshanam. What is your unique imprint? You can call it phenotype of prakriti, and how you are adapting to the ever changing economic, social, moral status around you. So when you go to the path of Shiva, and that contribution, it tells you that the surroundings do not matter. You adapt, and from there you use anything to adapt yourself. Here alchemy comes, where you make your body so very. vajra, like a diamond, then nothing affects you. You do breath and pranayam kriyas where you can adapt in any harsh condition by heating your body or cooling your body. The siddhars in the south cool their body, and you see, and I learned from a siddhar. So I never saw a sweat on his body where I was sweating profusely. I said, that was the last time I went to South India. After that, I never visited it. I can't bear it. But I had to go there. And in the Himalayas, they heat their body, and you go to the Vedic traditions. I'm not saying it is bad or good, but it keeps you indulged in this image, in this wonderland of you're purifying your body, you're eating clean, you're eating green, you're detoxifying. There is sattvic, tamasic, and Lord Shiva tells you that Agni is important. Everything is made of 5 elements. How you look at ficus and how you look at food, because the food you think which is good, if your Agni is bad, will turn into ficus. And if your Agni is good, if you eat something which is ficus, which is old food, stale food, it will still provide you nourishment. So Shilajit also, from point of today's topic, is like that. Some people use Shilajit the Krishna way because they are fascinated with the idea of what it provides. It could be a myth, it could be a reality. Maybe with your questions, I can give my two pieces over it. Or the Shiva way is that can you create a body of Shilajit, which says Shila Ajit, rus of Shila. Shila is a rock. Arjit means wake your body like a rock. So the concept etymology of Shilajit is that. Can you make Ajit? Jeet is like when you win something. Ajit is something which is invincible. You cannot win something which is invincible. You can only win something which can be lost. So Jeet is which you win, which is lost. Ajit is which can never be won. And that Shila gives you that. So that is the Shiva way of it. And the Shilajit, what people use from that point of view in terms of curing their bones, or for some all other reasons which now people use it. That comes from that Dhanvantri Sampradaya. It comes into healing. So there is a Rasayan part of Shilajit which you use to make your body like that when nothing affects you. And there is a therapeutic part of Shilajit in the Dhanvantri Sampradaya where you use it to cure your body in terms of different alchemical yoga. Chandra Prabhavati, the Shilajit Vati. 25 yogas are mentioned by Charak in Chikitsa, Sun 36 chapter. People can read it, or 27 chapter, I don't remember the name. But they are mentioned there about it, and people can read. And through times, people have developed more and more uses of it, understanding the properties of it.
I'd love to give an overview on the benefits or the uses, because as you said, I mean, we can just quickly go through them, but you said they have that rasayana, which I see is the primary karma, the primary action, the primary dharma of Shilajit is that rasayana, that underlying spreading of the rasa, spreading of that longevity, anti-aging, which also is closely related to aphrodisiac, vajikarana. And as you said, it depends on the formulations, depends on the types of Shilajit, but as you said, Chandra Prabha, very well-known formula, good for the urinary genitoury tract, particularly for males, but for all genders. And I was hesitant to do this podcast, Dr. Sumit, and my teacher also, who I'm here in South India with, I said to him today, and he goes, I don't want to speak about Shilajit. And he's had this resistance because he doesn't want to add to the collective craze and fads, because it almost seems like Shilajit in today's Kali Yuga is like not so suitable, or it's not taken the right way, and therefore some mistakes can be made, not just on people's health, but maybe even on a more subtle level, maybe on a more devata level, celestial level. So I'm just expressing my feelings around this, and particularly my guru, who's like pretty strong on this. I keep asking him, he doesn't like, and to be honest, he's South Indian, like he's not living in the Himalayas, but he's had experiences, particularly with Iran. They did a lot of Shilajit in Iran, which they said that's the best Shilajit they've come across. So yeah, my main question is the relevance of it today, particularly in this context of it being such a popular, what do you call it, like a supplement?
See, as I said, there are two aspects to it. First aspect is, do you want to take it for Rasayan? Rasayan means, and you can call it in a nutshell, anti-aging. And when I use the concept of anti-aging, I have a video I always say, we talk in terms of nano quantities. in Ayurveda we have given pramans. So Anjali Praman. So these are nano things. So if you say, for example, Shukra, it is 2 Anjali. I don't remember the exact number. So 2 Anjali is what fits your palm. Now you can say, how can semen be only 2 palm? But that is the nano hormonal enzymatic combination in your body, which when kept into a quotient, you don't fall sick. The moment it is afflicted, maybe in disease like Shukrashaya in Rajakshama, because you're studying Ayurveda, or somewhere else, you going to, yeah, like Rajakshama is like Shukra is your hormonal quotient which determines your vitality. When that nano proportion goes down or up even by a fraction, you get affected by disease. Your body either starts aging quickly or goes into a stagnant state where it becomes dysfunctional mentally, physically, spiritually. And by restoring that quotient, you become all right. There are different ways to approach health, therefore, Ayurveda is multidimensional. So, when that pramana is maintained, nano thing is maintained over a period of time, your aging slows down, your body becomes more functional. The same thing what happens in pranayam, that most times we use only 20-30% of our lungs. And when we get disease, only that 20-30% gets affected. So the other lungs we do not know to use. Yogis develop a methodology through spinal breathing, back lung breathing, front lung breathing to use all parts of their lungs. So they have more people consuming prana units at a lesser space. So they elongate their age. It's something which has to be studied in a different way. So Shilajit is one of the rasayans, which if you intake properly with proper diet, it maintains the proportion of everything in a very status quo way. But it's not going to happen if you just take it like that. First thing is where the Shilajit is procured from. We call it as chemotype. Like, for example, I'll give this example of cannabis. If people say cannabis from Himachal or Malana is the best, but cannabis is also grown in Mumbai, cannabis is also grown in Punjab. But the chemotype, the soil, the way it is collected, the temperature is all important. So Shilajit, which is collected from a particular place, I particularly feel the best Shilajit comes from Bhutan, Eastern Himalayas. There is no place like that. And the second best Shilajit comes from Ladakh, and the Siberian Shilajit is a little bit okay, similar to it. Iranian, Afghan Shilajit is also good. But where you collect it from is important. What place you collect it from is important. Secondly, how you purify it. So some people put water in it, trifala water, and boil it. It's Agni Tapi. What I use is Surya Tapi, which is a time consuming process, but the best is you just put it in water, expose it to sunlight, let the debris settle down, and let the water evaporate with the sun. That Shilajit you get is the best. Once you get that Shilajit, then you prepare your body by being on milk for one mandal, 42 to 48 days, and trek only start with 1 grain. This starts affecting your nano parts and starts giving you immunity. Now you will say it is a time consuming and an ardent process. So it is not going to give you anti-aging, because if you miss it, if you eat anything acidic with it, if you eat any food with it, doesn't matter sattvic tamasic, if you eat anything with it and it causes that inflammation, acid, pitta, that is going to start because it is shilajit, it is coming from the rocks. So if you want to make it your body as a rock, you have to give it something slimy. But if you give it something which is acidic, it is going to break your body like it breaks from the rock. So that is not going to help. Therefore, Maharishi Charak and Shushruta said that we want to use Shilajit. Rasayan Shilajit is said in the Rasayan section. But the Shilajit, what you want to use for medicine, we need to process it. Now, here, the issue with a lot of people miss is that you are not using Shilajit for its properties. 80% of time, 90% of time, little bit here and there, we are using Shilajit for its catalyst property. We called it Yoga Vahi. Yoga means union, and Vahi means what carries something in its exact form. So I create something, I need to deliver it to you in the exact form, because it should not be corrupted. In earlier times, if I tell something in your ear, you will tell something in someone else's ear. And after 10 people, what I said in your ear will be completely different from what you hear from the 10th person. But Shilajit or Yoga Vahi things carry something in their original form, like a carriers. Like today we use gold and silver as carriers to target cancer cells, nanomedicines or basmas. Shilajit is the excellent Yoga Vahi which carries that medicine to that particular region and lets it exhibit its therapeutic form. So when you use Shilajit for, you can say, aphrodisiac or for genital uses, or even Shilajit in women for ovulation, when you combine it with that kind of herbs or process, it has an innate property to give you that therapeutic effect. But it has to be cooled down. Like for us, when create Chandra Prabhavati, we have to process it in silver water from 6th day of the waxing moon to full moon, right? And in the night, and let it show so that Shilajit becomes potent enough. So this process is, now you may say, look with a touch of mysticism, but it has a chemical effect that now this thing can be assimilated in your body and it won't give you those ill effects. But today, when we eat Shilajit gummies with sugar, or we take Shilajit tablets and pop in for testosterone, I'm not saying it won't give you that direct effect, because everything has a prabhav. Prabhav means a direct effect. But in the long run, it may start destroying other tissue systems of your body. If you see in traditional thing, the uses of Shilajit have always been passed out through oral traditions. Even if you take all the local documentation of herbs and formulations by Vaidyas from the colonial period, you will find very few uses of direct Shilajit. It will always be in form of formulations. And in the entire Shastra of, I don't know how many years the Shastra is from, only 25 to 30 formulations you'll find of Shilajit. They're not much.
So that's with most herbs. Like I'm not a fan of single herbs, and I was trained like, and I guess the same is with Shilajit. Would you agree? Like, is it ever by itself, or is it in formulations?
No, see, herb, Shilajit, or certain things like Shilajit is there, or we say alchemy, like Rasa is there, or Som is there. Whatever are mentioned in the Rasayan Shastra, anti-aging herbs, right? They have a methodology. You have to prepare your body. Like it is like yoga, right? A lot of yogis do shatkarmas, cleanse their body so that they are not going to take that diet again. It is not that they'll eat a pizza and do a Noli karma next day because they can cleanse their intestine. There is a method to it. So, what are you trying to achieve? Why are you trying to achieve? Yogis try to achieve a long body not because they wanted to show off. They said, I'm staying in these harsh conditions. I want to meditate, and my vehicle is my body. There is no reality apart from this. I don't know about consciousness. If I reach it, it is fine. But right now, my reality is my body. Through it, I'm experiencing pleasure and pain. How can I prolong its degeneration? Because I am going to die. Body is not going to remain. Chaivan Rishi was there, which we call the king of rejuvenation. Na? He therefore you use Chaivan Prash. Now we call it Chavan Prash, but it is Chaivan Prash. Chaivan Rishi. Chaivan means who never ages. So there was a Rishi by the name of Chaivan Rishi. So the first concept of anti-aging came from him. So he said that you can regrow your hair black, you can do this. So there is Kuti Praveshik Rasan, like you go and stay in a hut for 6 months, you follow certain processes, and you come out completely different. So these concepts were there, but why are you doing it? Because if anti-aging is so difficult, who would want to do it? It's very easy, to pop in a Shilajit gummy and stop aging. It is not like that. There was a purpose that I want this body to achieve this inner consciousness. And if this body is paining, I'm not going to, I don't have a 101 ER on call. I have to adapt to this harsh environments, especially in places like Himalayas, right? So when they saw people, like constipation, first time rishis saw monkeys and saw cassia fistula, and they understood they eat monkeys eat this and they poop out, so this must be good for constipation. Similarly, they saw certain monkeys in the Himalayas who don't age. It's mentioned in Sushruta, and they understood they are licking this Shila Ras, and these monkeys are not aging. Their lifespan is more similar to that anaconda movie where they go and find that passion flower where the anacondas eat, and they don't age, something like that. So they found it and they started incorporating it, that can we use it. But maybe when they started using it, they understood that it is too difficult. Like original Shilajit, if you hold in hand, a lot of people will bleed from the nose. They don't know it. It is that hot. If you go to Bhutan and all, now there are different picking practices. It's called Kastur Shilajit because most time it comes in the mating season of snow leopards. So when you start understanding this, you say, how can I assimilate this to create my body like that? So you have to go through a process. How can I use it for therapeutic purpose? Then you have to refine it so that it doesn't give its ill effects. So there is nothing like you take herbs and there are no ill effects. Anything that gives an effect will have an ill effect depending upon how you process it. So certain herbs like Himalayan herbs, orchids like Jatamansi, Ashtavarga, they have to be used singularly, but you need to know their process. Certain herbs can be used in combination because they complement each other. Therefore, we call them yog. So certain yogs are mentioned in Kalpastan that this is the exact proportion you should be doing it. But things like Shilajit and all, because they are neither mineral, neither metal, they are something which we don't know what they are. They need special methodology to assimilate into a system, and people should be careful while taking them. But the good part is that 90% of Shilajit which comes into the market is third degree Shilajit. Anyways, it doesn't have any effect. So I don't think so there is a risk when they pop in, apart from the money they lose.
How does that popping create the destruction of the tissues long term?
Let us say that we are dealing with original Shilajit. Okay, let's for argument's sake say Shilajit comes from the rocks. So they say it is the sweat of the rocks. You can only sweat when something is heaty, right? So when the snow melts, and these are, I'll talk about Himalayan mountains, though Shilajit is also found in the Andes, also found in Siberia. But let us say Shilajit, which is found in the snow mountains. So there are two types of Shilajit: Gomutra Gandhi Shilajit. Gomutra which smells like cow's urine, and Karpur Gandhi Shilajit. Karpur Gandhi Shilajit, a lot of people use, is basically potassium nitrate. You should not be using it. But Gomutra Shilajit is what we use. It also comes in four forms. Maharishi Shushu says six forms: gold, silver, bronze, and low, which is black, what we see.
And those forms are the shilajit is mixed with those metals in the rocks. Is that right?
The idea here is that little bit of difference of opinion here, what I have seen, because I have never seen gold and silver. I have seen red Shilajit. I have seen black Shilajit. Maybe I have seen yellow Shilajit. I have never seen silver Shilajit in my life, so I'll be honest with it. But I feel they are the stages of the same Shilajit which happen over a period of time. So when you pick up the gold Shilajit, it's very heaty, so you can't utilize it. But because I've seen it, but I have not picked it, Shilajit I has to pick myself earlier in my time. So I have seen the red, I have seen this black Shilajit. So when you pick it up, right, because they are coming, so what is happening? The mountains are cold, snow is there. Suddenly, what happens in the summer? Bright sun rays fall in them, because this was, let us say, in Himalayas, it was a sea. So it had all this beautiful arrangement of soil and humus there. Suddenly, due to tectonic plate movement, it became the highest mountains in the world. So you get this thing, because Shilajit basically, if you see chemical composition, it contains fulvic acid. So some people say it is made biologically by certain process, by plants like ephedra plant. Some say they are formed by tectonic plates. Some say you have this ammonite fossils, what we call as shaligram. So space dust has fallen in it, and over a period of time they have converted into shilajit, because certain shilajit has got when they tested in the laboratory from Bhutan, they found asteroid and comet dust in it. So exactly, it is a very unique thing actually, like, so I don't like to bring mysticism to a lot of things, but Shilajit is one part, you cannot take the mysticism away from it because it is so unique. But because it comes out from these rocks, it has the ability to penetrate through hard stuff. So when you eat it unjudiciously without softening your system, what happens? It retains into the system and it starts breaking, because Shilajit is, a lot of people take Shilajit to break kidney stones also. It is given, right? A lot of time. So it has the ability to break stones, but it is that Shilajit is given in therapeutic form. You have to dilute it and all. The same Shilajit, if you take in original form without understanding, like every day, then it is going to penetrate your tissue. The same thing happens with the herb called as kutki. It is a herb. Picrorhiza kuru. It is used for intestine cleansing. So amazing herb. You take it every day. There is no bigger tonic like that. My favorite herb. But if you take it without a proper diet, or you take it more, it will start then drying your intestine and causing you more wasting. So Shilajit is also like that. Every amrit is a poison. Every poison is a amrit, because you give amrit to someone who is mrit, who is in a dying stage. So in Charak, where they say that in ascites, when nothing is working, you mix rice with snake poison and you give him, because snake poison is fast acting, so it will go through the vessels, it will clear the vessels and the water will go away. So what is a poison becomes a amrit. But if you take amrit in a healthy state, it could be the biggest poison because it is not meant to act in a healthy state. So therefore, different categories were given. Vayasthapan. Vayasthapan was which protects your age by Charak, means anti-aging. Jivaniya, which gives you health. Bruhaniya, which will make your body this. So these categories were specifically mentioned in Sanskrit. We don't listen to etymology. So Shilajit was also mentioned like that. It is a rasayan, but it had is this: if you don't use it in a proper form, it can cause you problems in the long run. And why we are talking about it? Because earlier Shilajit was not available to the masses. Shilajit only people like us got for medicines, or people who used to stay in the highlands used to use it sometimes. 1 grain a week. Dosage was 1 grain a week. Today we use it two times, three times pure Shilajit. Not talking about tablets. So that is where I feel that we don't know. But if people are using it in that way, it is a cumulative poison. It may give you certain disorders which you won't know. Initially, it will give its effect, whatever you'll feel energy, you will feel boost of energy, but eventually it will start cutting through your system.
You mentioned the monkeys licking the Shilajit and getting longevity. Have you noticed that also goats lick it, or any other animals have been observed?
I have observed a snow leopard do it, but apart from that, monkeys means those are mentioned, but we don't find them here now. You have to go a little bit higher up in the Himalayas towards the eastern Himalayan side. There you will see it. Snow leopard definitely I've seen during the mating season. Other animals I have not seen, so I can't comment on it.
That's a absolutely phenomenal view of seeing a snow leopard lick Shilajit. I can't imagine the experience that you had. Yeah. Um, and so a big thing for me always with herbs is Shodhana Samskara, proper purification. And you can even bring it as basic to eggplant, aubergine. You soak it in salt water and this black kind of stuff comes out and we discard it. So, but people aren't practicing this. So with these Shilajits coming out on the market, a lot of them are claiming transparency. Oh, I can show you the way harvesting. And then I asked one of them, I said, okay, and how do you know it's true? He said, well, we measure the fulvic acid and it's a high enough percentage. So is that an adequate way to see? But then I said, do you purify it? And he kind of said no, or maybe there was some, standard hygiene Western practice. And that was just a big no for me because it's really important, particularly for a strong herb like this. So is that enough to see because I just come from a lineage where they're very almost taking very big precautions basically and not just trusting a fulvic acid reading. Is that enough to say that it's pure or that it's not adulterated?
The problem here, what the Western world doesn't understand, that when we say Shuddha in Sanskrit or Shodhan, we don't mean pure, we mean purified for assimilation. So we are purifying something so that it can be assimilated into system. So you can get a 24 karat gold. It is pure. But if I have to use in medicine, I still have to purify it. I have to make it Shuddha. Why? Because I want to assimilate it. So when they say we get pure Shilajit, of course they may be getting it from the mountain. They might be measuring fulvic acid content, like Manuka honey. They measure UMF or MGO. They must be mentioning that, but that is not assimilable. Purification is when you soak it in Triphala or Gomutra. As I said, we do it Surya Tapi, Shilajit. Then what happens? It becomes assimilable by your tissues. So in Shastras, there are words called as Sendriya and Nirendriya. Indriya means your senses, biological senses. When we say sa indriya means this is an experience my senses can assimilate, tongue, one. And when you say nir indriya, this cannot be assimilated. That is the reason why when we give loha bhasma, blood increases. But when you give purified iron chelation, the blood may increase, but it may cause you constipation or something, right? So there is a difference. So the issue here is that are you purifying it to be assimilable? A lot of people may have standards saying fulvic acid is high, humic acid is high, because it has, every shilajit has some content. And that is the modern medicine way of thinking, high fulvic acid, so it will give you benefit. But is that fulvic acid assimilable by your system? Their purification comes, and there are certain people now who are doing that purification. I won't say everything is bad. Certain companies in the Himalayas are procuring it, purifying it, being transparent about that process, packing it, doing the purity test of shilajit, and giving, being very judicious about the dosages, what they claim, what they do not. And I think such practices, even though if they cost little bit more, should be encouraged. People should know about this, and then they should buy the product. Nothing wrong, I'm not against it. But the way, the concept of purity, if it is on a chemical content, I think these concepts of Ayurveda or all are just put on the back seat, because we don't mean that. When I say pure, it means assimilably pure. No, say they say Gunja Praman, which is on how, yeah, so you have to increase it. So when you say pure Shilajit, it is in Ratti form. Ratti is like a rice grain. You have to start with one a week, and then it will slowly increase as per, and you can go. Rasayans always happen like that. You increase the proportion. But I don't think so that that higher quantity, even if in therapeutic form anybody can digest, because Shilajit's maximum dosage is 16 gunj, which is like 1 gram or something. So maximum in a day you can give only that much. But as you said properly, as your Guruji said properly, that if you don't cultivate a system, Agni is a long way. Nobody has that Agni. But at least if you don't cultivate a system, people don't even can't do a diet to assimilate something, then it will be difficult. And that is what I'm saying, that therefore Rasayan Shilajit should not be consumed. If you want to consume Shilajit, consume it in some purified Kalpa form, Shilajit Vati or something like that. And probably it might be still beneficial, but do it, check your system, see, and just don't do it because it is advertised in a particular way.
So you're seeing companies that are like distributing around the world that are doing these shodhana samskaras?
There are certain companies which I have seen, at least they are transparent. There are, because this can be only produced in small batch, so they are they are completely doing the references. Right now, I just seen someone show me something that they are doing this purification. They wanted my opinion, so when I showed them, they are at least they are purifying in Triphala. They are showing the Shilajit, because they are not getting it from the mountain. They are getting it in the rock form. Original Shilajit we get it is in clay form, but that is used for rasayan. The other rock form is Shilajit, but you have to purify it. So you have to put it in Trifala, boil it for a particular time, then let it cool down, something like that. And then once it is done, then you go through, you get that Shilajit, and then how they industrially process it. That's something which is not my domain. But at least they are doing it. They are transparent about it, and at least the dosages they are saying that this is how you should be using it. And for me, I know adaptation, or what we in Ayurveda called as oksatmya, that people adapt to a changing environment. So I'm not very rudimentary saying that, oh, you don't know the shastras, I say that okay, anybody can. I don't know what, because the entity is always greater than me. With my limited mind, I can only know about Shilajit what my teachers taught me. That also, if I'm good enough to infer what they taught me, and little bit from here. But that entity in itself carries a blueprint of everything what it can offer. So who am I to say that in today's world, if somebody is consuming Shilajit, through the advancement of technologies we have, with the insights of the body we have, with the diagnostic system we have, with thermal mappings and all, we won't be able to unlock its secrets. But the basic thing for me is that before ingesting, are you making it assimilable? Then how you do it, that I am no one to comment. So that is my opinion. I'm not saying that everybody should follow it. So I always say, okay, basically check where it is got from, the chemotype, how it is collected, is it purified, agni tapi, surya tapi. If it is surya tapi like this, then don't use it in regular use. At least be aware, if it is agni tapi purified kalpa form, you can use it, but check it with proper parameters.
It's a good you mentioned that. I was going to mention, like, really, is that Surya Tapi enough? But as you said, for the, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're going to be using it more regularly, perhaps for rasayana or deeper things, then you do need more extensive shodhana
Yeah,
methods.
no, that Suryatapi medicine which comes from above, you just purify it in the Suryatapi method. You don't have the rock form, requires the Triphala concoction. So for
So
Rasayan,
what's the difference? One's coming from high in the
because
rock?
it is directly coming out and you're picking it. and lot of
Okay.
people pick it because it flows down, it carries debris with it. So once it carries debris
Right.
with it, both require purification.
Okay.
So the first
Yes.
part, you just dissolve it in water so the debris settle down and let the sun dissolve it. After that, you get that Shilajit, you can use it for rasayan. The other form you dissolve in water because Shilajit has to dissolve in water. So debris will settle down, and then as the water will come up, the Shilajit will continue collected. Then that Shilajit, then you purify with Triphala and use it. So that is a better form to use for local people. But if you don't want to go through that process, for alchemical tantra, whatever processes you want to use the Surya Tapit directly, the clay form which comes, then of course you have to prepare your system for it. So there the so more steps you get into it, the more assimilable it will become. Hmm.
Yeah. So you get it straight from as it sweats out of the rock, or you get it what it's like fallen down the mountain and
Yes,
you're
it comes
collecting it.
down. Generally, what
Yeah.
happens because it comes down, it carries debris with it. So
Right. Yeah.
the
Okay.
higher you get it, the more higher height you get it, the more softer form you will get. The more
Right.
lower height you get it, the more debris you will get. So that is a very dangerous process because if I have to get it from 16,500, 17,000 feet, then it's like difficult. But if I can get it from 12,000, Gangotri, Bhojbasa, 10,000, 11,000, 13,000, then I'll get it. It's still high, but for it, it's coming with lot of debris and soil. I have to clear it first to first obtain the Shilajit and then purify it to make it assimilable.
And those lower amounts, the lower altitudes, is that still sweating out of the rock, or is that kind of falling down and then going into the rock and coming out? Or
Mostly it is not sweating, it is coming down because it only
okay,
comes at extreme temperatures and when the sun
okay,
goes. So some people what they do to create it is that sometimes they put fire on the rocks in the night and then they obtain it. Some places in central India also obtain the Shilajit that way. It is, I won't say it is duplicate, but chemotype is different, so it is not the same.
Just to clarify, you said 40 to prepare the body, 41 days of only milk, so like only drinking milk.
In Shilajit Rasayan Prakarana, Rasayan Adhyay in Rasayan, I don't know the Sutrasan wherever it is, Shilajit Rasayan is mentioned by Charak. So you have to
Chikitsastana.
Chikisastan, yeah. So you have to be on milk. So the ideal here is that if I'm taking Shilajit for 28 days, I have to be 2 times on milk. So the more milk I take and take Shilajit, I can increase. Of course, it has to be done in supervision, but that is what is maintained. So if I take just the face value of it, I understand that if I want to have this property, I need to follow a particular system. Then it doesn't matter 42 days, 60 days, that goes out of the window. But I have to follow it. If I digress from it, Shilajit is either not going to stay in my body and go out, or if it becomes an arm or toxin in my system, then it is going to cut through my system.
Thank you so much. It makes very sense, and I love just the analogy of thinking yourself as a rock. You need to be soft and unctuous. When you're taking Shilajit, is it mixed with rock? Like, are you getting, say, a big rock, like as if you were mining a diamond or a crystal? You get like a big rock which has maybe 80% rock and then 20% crystal. Or so is it like that with the Shilajit, or you kind of just get the black ooze straight up?
Now, it again depends on where you're collecting from. Most times you'll get a rock. Some people get more rock and less shilajit in it, which is very bad. You should not use that. Some people they get this semi-solid kind of a thing, which has, like if you take tar and there is lot of debris in it, how it is, they get it like that. Some people get rock crystals because it crystallizes. In Ladakh, you get that kind of stuff. You'll get shilajit rocks like that, which you use. And some people get it in a very sticky exudate, which is very sticky. It is like a rock which is covered, a big rock which will be covered by the stickiness, so it will come off and you have to use it. So that is how they get it. So basically nowadays, so you get everything. So it is very difficult to know which is coming from where. So I personally would say that the shilajit which looks like you can mold it in any shape, like shilajit is good. Then if you dissolve it in water, it should dissolve not quickly, it should just go like thread and dissolve. And if you burn it on fire, it should be nirdhum, there should be no fumes. And the original kasturi shilajit, we say, there is one thing is that if you have really procured it properly, and even if you take this much and you put it on fire, then it doesn't burn, but it's like that firecracker. It takes a form of shivlinga, means it becomes elongated like that. but that is very difficult to procure. Means you have to be really have the best chemotype and the conditions to get it. I'm not saying it just because it is red, like it's difficult because you're getting it from that kind of a source. And those things, even if you get, you need to know how to use it, because that Shilajit, you should not be using it for this. So I think in my video I've given a demonstration of that Shilajit which I had collected. I never got a sample after that. That is the only thing I collected when I went to Bhutan and that kind of a places. After that, it was very difficult for me to find. Of course, the other samples which I've got are equally good, but those samples, that clay samples, are difficult. So now what you get is this paste, sticky paste as Shilajit in this. It is good, like a, it's like a tar, but these things people should do. A lot of people say it should go like a tar. It should have. So those things are okay. I'm not saying they are holy grail, but these three tests are mentioned by Charak and Shushruth, so you should follow it, and then you will come to know at least what you're putting into your system is purified.
So when you say put it in water, it should dissolve straight away. Is that what you're
No, no,
saying?
it will,
Or
so it will show color. So like I've given examples in
okay,
my video of
give color
clay.
to the water.
Yeah, so once you put the clay Shilajit, which I said the best, it will first go down. As it go down, it will start coloring the water and eventually dissolve. The other Shilajit, which is the same Shilajit, but it has little bit come down. So it is a paste of the, because now it has come little bit down. So because of the sun, it has become more sticky. So if you put it on a plastic and put it in water and you remove the plastic after 2 minutes, the plastic will come clean. So when you touch that plastic with Shilajit, you will feel, oh, my hands are sticking. But if you put that plastic in water and remove, the plastic will come clean. So that is purest. The other form in the rock also is nice. So if you put a plastic in and you remove, it will take time for the plastic to clean itself, like a plastic sheet. Just if you use it as a test, so that requires purification. But yeah, I mean, it's like watching my teachers adapt to things. How exactly they could go. Like one of my teachers was there, like they could stay in the snow without food for like six months, and the way they used to breathe, and we used to think, oh wow, this is some special powers. But when you went to them, the way they explained how they used different things to adapt their system so that they can remain in status quo, like that was more mind boggling and magical, thinking, wow man, these things exist. Of course there are a lot of things. You see illuminatory plants in the night, you see plants we can cure your wound within 1 day, 20 minutes or 20 minutes. You put something, you remove your entire wound is stitched, like Mas Rohini and all. But to see someone utilize it, adapt to something which is inconceivable without the help of so-called technology or anything, and actually do it in person, which shatters your every thought process of I have got this, I know this, is something which is really mind boggling, and you really want to get into that experience. And that's what I feel has kept me so motivated to go there.